Lyra Cheerilee, A True Love by Switchdown. It was the final day at school before summer vacation. Miss Cheerilee was very looking forward to have a break from school, but but she had to make sure all the things that are finished at school for the past only for about next few days. But she was really looking forward to this summer vacation, and a couple of days after that she had taken care of her business, she was actually looking forward to spend the first official vacation during summer holiday. But then it ended up bad weather. It was raining for nearly 2 days, and Shirley had nothing to do as much as just reading some books at home. But on the third day, the sun was shiny as before. Shirley was very happy to at least to have her own time after school, even though she even encountered some of her students on the streets or in the shops or something. But they were just happy to see her that the teacher having fun during her vacation or the summer holiday, especially she do. But it's just one thing that she really wished to have, that she could spend the summer holiday with with some point. Most of her friends were away from town for a vacation, or she could visit some of her family members either in Manhattan or in Trondheim. But turns out her parents were in Saudi Arabia for a couple of weeks on their honeymoon. They actually spent their second honeymoon, and she didn't have any brothers or sisters, but she had a few cousins in Trondheim, but they were all quite busy since they worked with different business. And even though that Shirley wanted to find a special stone pony, but at some point she wonders, will she ever find it? She used to be had a crush on Big Mac, but that was before she found out that he was actually dating now Sugar Bell, and that actually crushed her heart, but she moved on from it. And during the summer holidays, she actually decided to try this speed dating. Well, she tried it at least twice, but nothing yet seems to be the right pony for her. So she decided maybe she couldn't find a special sun pony. But that happened something else. She even sat in the park, talked to herself, saying that she would never find a special sun pony. But what she didn't know, Scootaloo was actually flying over her and heard all the talking. She felt sorry for her teacher and wanted to do something for her, so she actually flew back to the clubhouse where Applebloom and Sweeterbell were just talking to each other. And then Scootaloo arrives and she tells them what she even heard from Miss Shirley, and from the last time they tried to help Miss Shirley with Big Mac with this love poison, which they regret not to do. But they wanted to help her at some point, and how. They talked about several things that they could do, but Applebloom mentioned no poison, no potions at all this time, since the first time they tried, they backfired at them. So they both agreed. But then actually something that Sweetie remembers something. She used to sit watching it, looking at it through the newspaper every morning. There were some ads for often some ponies selling their couches, or perhaps selling pets, or some of some looking for a work. Why wasn't they do the same thing, except an ad for Miss Shirley looking for her special sun pony? At first, Applebloom thought that could be a good idea, but Scootaloo, she was much of first against the entire idea. And the others just looked at her and asked why she was against the idea. Well, she has told them that it might be a good idea itself, but they don't know who would answer the ad, or how Miss Cheerilee could react if she find out Zone Pony had put out an ad with her name looking for special Zone Pony, and that she might figure out somehow figure out who would be putting that ad in the newspaper, and then find out they are responsible for the screwing them out and probably put them in detention at school when they start. And that makes actually something sense. Sweetabelle and Applebloom then agrees maybe they shouldn't do it, but they all agree that they should try it. But how? But then, actually, Sweetabelle thought an idea. Why don't they just leave the ad at the newspaper magazine office anonymously? So even if the ad ends up in the newspaper, and even if Shirley finds out that the ad and goes to the office to ask some of the homes there, even the ad director or the editor, to see if he or she knows any information who sent the ad in. If it is anonymous, they couldn't even find out who it is, and that means they would not be found out. Applebloom thought that could work, but Scootaloo was still not sure about that self-idea. But what if she did find out? She asked. But Sweetabelle, that's a worth the risk. And they all agreed. So they wrote down a short note, a short ad. Mirror looking for me companion for a possible long-term relationship. Occupation, teacher. At the end of this letter, they actually left this note that is in an envelope at the post office for the magazine service, the magazine office, in the mail slot, just an ad, anonymously. So that means that even if she only try to find out who made this note, she wouldn't. Applebloom, Scootaloo, and Sweetabelle now felt happy, but they waited till next morning to see if this ad was actually end up in the newspaper. And next morning, Sweetabelle actually had the newspaper in the morning. After her parents had read it, she took it to the clubhouse, and they all searched through the newspaper and found the ad in the middle section of ads part. They put it in, and exactly what we wrote. I hope this plan works, said Scootaloo. Deep down, she was very skeptical that this plan could actually even work. But she has to agree that it is worth a try, even the risk of being caught by Miss Shirley again. And that same morning, Miss Shirley was at her home, looking into the newspaper as she usually do, and she didn't see much as normally. But then when she could end up in the ad section of the newspaper, she saw that some other, usually looking for work, selling some pets, selling furniture or some sort of things. But then there was just one ad that stuck out of all of them. Mare looking for companion, possible long-term relationship, occupation, teacher. The only thing that makes sense. It was about her. Mare looking for companion, occupation, teacher. She was very stunned. She had never actually put that in her hand herself, so she wondered who did it. So after she had her breakfast, she went straight to the magazine office to demanded to talk to the editor, asked him if they actually had any information, asked them who put this ad in the newspaper. She asked the manager for the answers. But the editor, he told Miss Shirley that he had no idea who put it there, even while he knows that who's made put in that newspaper, but he didn't know who delivered it to the newspaper because it was an anonymous. It was found the same morning, early that 3 in the morning, with an envelope with an ad, the text to the ad section. And he found it and they would probably put it in there, but there was nothing else in it. No mention of who said it, just the ad and nothing else. So that was the only information that he could give her, but she thought that he was lying or didn't want to tell her because the press, liberty, freedom. But he told her all that he knows, and she left. And for a couple of days afterwards, Miss Shirley actually had received letters from this ad, but it wasn't that many. There were only a few of them actually, mostly stallions, a few mares, but she declined offering all the offers. She wrote back to them saying that she didn't want to talk. She didn't put it that ad in a newspaper, and somebody else did it for her, and she didn't want that. So suddenly, after just 2 days, all the letters stopped. And Shirley was now happy to realize, and she even looked in the newspaper every morning and saw that ad was gone. As she had requested to the editor that they remove this ad and not put it back at all. And since they was gone, all the letters stopped as well. But even then at the time, Sweetabelle looked in her morning paper and saw the ad was gone, and she was wondering why did it put removed it? And then she realized she must have found out. So she immediately ran to Sweet Apple Acres where Apple Bloom and Squirrel was over there. They had no idea what was going on when Sweetabelle just stormed in. She was very scared. They asked her, and she showed them the newspaper. The ad was gone. Do you think that she might have found somebody? Either that or that she found out who could send it. Squirrel was not more. She wasn't as scared. Even when she did find out, this is anonymously. You know that. Sweetabelle was not the much. She says she wasn't even could even confirm or deny even any of that. Even at the same time, at Sweetadop's home, Lyra had actually been reading the same newspaper every morning. Lyra and Sweetadrops had actually not been together, as many pony believes. They were just friends. But there was just something else that we actually didn't know about. Lyra was actually had been looking for a special zone pony herself. But when she saw this ad in the newspaper, one of the old ones, only for a few days earlier, she saw the ad and actually decided to write to this particular person, this pony. And suddenly, she did actually get a response back on the next day. It turns out she was actually one of the few mares who's actually been denied. But when she read the letter, she recognized the hand style, the writing style. It was actually Miss Shirley's. So the next day, she actually went looking for Miss Shirley, but she wasn't home. She looked in the park. There she was. And She actually walked up to Miss Cheerilee and asked her about this ad. She was very confused and Hansel asked how she knows about it was her ad and how she found out this was her. Lyra explained that she recognized her writing and asked her if that was actually her in the letters, and Cheerilee confirmed it was her. But she denied that she hadn't put that ad in the newspaper at first. So Lyra asked her why was that ad in the newspaper at first? She had no idea. So they both sat down and talked about this, and soon they moved on from new topic to next. And just suddenly then, Lyra said that has been feeling unhappy for at least a while, and Cheerilee asked why. She thought that she was together with Sweetdrops, but Sweetdrops and Lyra had just been friends. And Cheerilee thought that they were just dating, but when she was confirmed by Lyra they were just friends, so then she knew nothing else. Lyra asked if Cheerilee had ever considered to be with a mare or a stallion, since she had never seen her with any pony. In fact, Sweetbelle, in fact, Cheerilee had actually said that she actually prefers mares rather than stallions. After that she put in the love poison with Big Mac. Hearing that made Lyra laugh, but she apologized and she laughed at her. Cheerilee wasn't angry or offended. She actually thinks that could have been quite funny after a while. But then Cheerilee asked if Lyra was into mares or stallions or both or either. Lyra said actually that she was actually into mares as well. She just haven't found any particular mare to date, because most of the mares in town was either occupied with their special son pony, or married, or engaged, or just wasn't into a relationship with them. So she actually decided to be just single. Even she tried to go to blind dates or speed dating for time, but nothing as she didn't felt any connection with some of the ponies there. So then something Cheerilee then just asked if Lyra could ever consider just dating her. And Lyra looked at Cheerilee and she was smiling. That actually made Lyra starting blushing more and more. She was so red in her face. But Lyra didn't say yes or no, she just nodded. So both of them actually decided to go out the next day. They first decided to have a picnic together in the park. And when Lyra came home, Sweetdrops asked her how her day were, and something else happened. And she actually explained that she had been asked to date on a date with Cheerilee. Sweetdrops was very surprised. She hadn't ever heard that Cheerilee was into mares, but she was just happy for Lyra. And the next day, Lyra and and Cheerilee actually went to the park, and Cheerilee had a basket with her. She decided to pick a place where it could be perfect for a picnic and just a great place there. At first a little bit they were quiet, didn't speak much, but then suddenly they started talking about random things, making jokes, laughing, and just enjoying each other's company. Even though that Sweetbelle and Squirreloo and Applebloom was very scared to find out if something was wrong with Cheerilee, because a few months later when the school was restarting after a new semester, it did something happen. They were so afraid, but not as much as school. She wasn't. She was prepared for being punished. But it turns out Cheerilee wasn't that angry anymore. She actually found out there was actually security market sailors who had been putting the ad in the newspaper. She told them, at least next time, don't do that before, because you don't know how other pony will react. Because next time, if you do it to somebody else, they might be so more angry or want to punch you even so more severe. And they both agreed, all of them agreed, and decides never to do that again. But they were just happy to hear that Cheerilee had found this was some pony, at least what they should believe. Even for a couple of weeks after that, Lyra and Cheerilee have been seeing each other from time to time, mostly after the school was over. Lyra comes over for a visit. She has under a bag with her, some food which they can share, and helping her to school like cleaning and all sort of things. Cheerilee's life has been very more up and has been before. She actually enjoys her life with Lyra. Even that both of them actually taking them slowly in their new relationship together because they don't know if this relationship going to work out as they believe, but they're just taking it slowly. And all of them are actually just happy. But a year later, something did happen. Lyra and Cheerilee had a very big fight. They had decided to celebrate their 1 year anniversary together. Lyra wanted to go to Manhattan for a concert, but Cheerilee wanted to stay home and have a very cozy night with her, much having a nice dinner and sitting at the next open fire, drinking some cider, just to have a bit at home cozy night. But Lyra wants to go out. She wants to go to a club and then to a concert and then go out dancing and dinner. But Cheerilee wanted just to have a more relaxing night. Not so much as to go out and celebrate, but it's a big one. That was the fight that they had. And Cheerilee, she actually said that she didn't want to see Lyra ever again. And she left. And for a couple of days afterwards, her students didn't know about this breakup until they were told by Diamond Tiara. She had actually heard about this breakup from her parents. And the Cutie Market Crusaders was stunned. They hadn't seen Shirley so happy with Lyra, and they couldn't even believe it. So they asked Diamond Tiara if she knows any details what are gonna cause this or happen. At least from what she knows, that they had a fight to have to celebrate their 1 year anniversary together. And that was the cause of the breakup, at least what she knows. And they thanked her for her help, so they actually decided to at least go talk to Monsieur Lee and to Lyra to try to ask them, both from their side and from their perspective, how to see if they can work this out. Shirley said that she had actually moved, still loved Lyra, but after this big fight, she couldn't believe she could have had any future with Lyra anymore. So, after that big Tony asking her, they went to Lyra, and she said to them that she even loved Shirley still as very much, but she didn't know if their relationship can ever be as was before. But then they told her that Shirley actually still loved her. Lyra was a bit of a surprise because she had the feeling for that. So they actually made a plan. the Sweetabelle was going to take Lyra to the park, and Scootaloo was trying to take Cheerilee to the park to see if they could and meet up each other and talk, work it out, and be together. Even then, Apple Bloom was very skeptical if this plan was going to work out, because she had heard stories about this and that this could end up the couple never being together anymore and decides not to be friends even, and one of them moves away, far away, so they couldn't even meet each other ever again. And she told her friends that, but Sweetabelle just was very optimistic, and she thought, that works, it will work out. But what if it doesn't work? She said. Psheh, it will work. Isn't that right, Squirtle? Yeah, it's gonna work. I believe it's gonna work. Applebloom was the only one who was against Francine's idea, but since our friends was optimistic that it was very open and had their opinion, so she get along with it. And the next day, they actually managed to take the both of them to the park, and was hoping for a good, happy ending. But they stood just there, didn't say anything, just stared at each other. Sweetabelle was about to leave their hideouts and walk up to them and tell them to work this out. But suddenly, Lyra started talking, and it worked out. They gave each other a hug and apologized for their big fight, and decided that they should have a big, a cozy night to celebrate them together as 1 year together. And the next time on their 2 years anniversary, then they could go to concert in Manhattan and so on. And Lyra accepted the idea. So after being together for a year, and the next year they actually went to Manhattan to celebrate the 2 years anniversary. Even though they broke up, but they still can consider being together for 2 years afterwards. But something else was going on there. During after concert, they both actually went to a restaurant to have some dinner. Lyra had actually made something special. She actually gave Cheerilee a necklace, a heart which she could open, and inside was a small note. It said, "Will you marry me?" Cheerilee actually looked at the heart with a message and back at Lyra, back at the heart and Lyra, and she started crying. She actually said yes, and all the guests, the staff, and the restaurant started cheering from both. And the wedding, it actually been held in Ponyville only a month later. Cheerilee and Lyra was happy to be married to each other. Even they had a bit up and down relationship, but this actually worked out well. They even went to Crystal Empire for 3 whole weeks as honeymoon. And just barely 4 years later, they decided to want to have their own family. So they actually adopted $2 from a local orphanage in Canterlot. And only 2 years later, they adopted another child in Ponyville, a son. And that's how Lyra Heartstrings, Miss Cheerilee, and her true love got a big family. The end.